Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Welcome everybody to the Safina Society Nothing But Facts live stream after an awesome interview yesterday. Honestly, totally awesome interview, I would have to say, with a Sheikh Abu Tawbah, who I haven't actually read his writings. I don't know if he has writings. He might have writings. But I just watched his videos. He's just, Mukhlis is the perfect name for him. He said that that's his name was Marcus, and then when he became Muslim, he called himself Mukhlis. That's one of those names that just hits the spot, because one of the things they feel, he is 100% sincere and 0% pretentious. And that's why I love him. And a lot of people I don't think a lot of people can handle a person like that. But the way I was raised, and everyone was raised differently, the way I was raised, we love that kind of person. The household I was raised in, we did not care less about formal types of, I don't mean formalities. Formalities are important, but you know the official types of people? Everything's official. Everything's calculated. In our household, I think there's benefits to that, but in our house, we used to view that as like fakery. This person's fake. You can't be yourself with this person. It's the 499th live stream. SubhanAllah. And we've had Ryan at the helm, then Omar Abbasi at the helm. Now Omar Abbasi is an ED, executive producer. He's the EP of the whole operation, scheduling the guests, etc. And now we have Alif, who's the behind the desk here, or what do I say before earlier? At the helm. Alif's at the helm. And Ryan, inshallah, will be having his own stream here on Safina Society's channel. He'll have his, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, I'm just leaking that out there, putting that out there, no details. But he will, inshallah ta'ala, have his own stream, but it will be directed to converts. It's going to be like convert hour type of thing. Just answering a quick text. Let's get to the flood of Sayyidina Nuh. One of the most amazing times in human history. And there are opinions, people say that it was just his little village. No, it was the world. It was the world. وَجَعَلْنَا ذُرِّيَّتَهُ هُمُ الْبَاقُونَ. We made his lineage, they're the remainder. Let's see if there's tafsir on that. وَجَعَلْنَا ذُرِّيَّتَهُ وَجَعَلْنَا ذُرِّيَّتَهُ هُمُ الْبَاقِينَ, because it's مفعول به. That's why I looked that up. I was like, wait, that doesn't sound right. Okay, let's look at the tafsir of that. Bismillah al-Baghawi. Okay. وَجَعَلْنَا ذُرِّيَّتَهُ هُمُ الْبَاقِينَ, because it's maf'ul bihi. Okay, and it's going to show up in Tafsir 67. How is it going for you, Alif? You good? Yeah, here it is. وَأَرَادَ أَنَّ النَّاسَ كُلَّهُمْ مِنْ نَسْلِ نُوحٍ. Open it up, 37:77. وَجَعَلْنَا ذُرِّيَّتَهُ هُمُ الْبَاقِينَ. Little Quranic tafsir and ayah. You learn something here. You know our shuyukh, how they taught? You learn something here or there. Every day you learn something. But the key is they love for you to follow a curriculum. You choose Maliki fiqh, is Maliki fiqh. Hanafi fiqh, Hanafi fiqh. You study an aqidah, you study an aqidah. You memorize Qur'an in order. So there's order, but little by little. That's how knowledge stays with you. Tell me when it's ready. That's how knowledge stays with you. This ayah here, وَجَعَلْنَا ذُرِّيَّتَهُ هُمُ الْبَاقِينَ. It refers to the Prophet Nuh, alayhi salam, in which al-Baghawi says that Allah means by this all people are from the lineage of Nuh alayhi salam. Now, were there people who joined on the ark of Noah that were not from his family? Yes, there were. He did have some companions, but his sons, they married into his sons. They all married, and their lineage ended up with the sons of Noah. So that's how eventually. It doesn't mean right away. It could have been the second generation or the third generation. Within a few generations, all lineages came from the sons of Noah. Some people say that Noah had 4 sons. This is not, there's no jazm on any of this, by the way. We do know for sure, we can make jazm for sure, that the Prophet Nuh had these 2 sons. The oldest son, or one of his sons, who didn't get onto the ark. And another one of his sons was Sham ibn Nuh. And he settled around that Mediterranean area on the right, which is what we now call Shem. And the prophetic lineage went through him. And that's why that area is called Shem. We call that area Shem. It's named after Shem, the son of Noah. Okay. The idea of Semitic languages, Sam, what? Asad, come and sit. How are you, man? What you doing here? Taking a break from school?
Yep, I'm off today.
You have off today? Good for you. Did you take your exams, your chemistry exams?
Yeah.
Are you good with chem? You good at chem?
It's definitely different than like organic chemistry is way different than general chemistry. Gen chem is a lot of like mathy formulas.
Mm-hmm.
And then organic is like you have to like imagine 3D things in your mind. So
That's insane. So organic chemistry is where people basically live or die if they're going to become doctors, right?
yeah,
That's where you live or die. That's the weed out class. I remember my friends literally crying taking orgo they call it. Now, what's the opposite of organic? Inorganic.
Yeah, that's harder. Yeah, apparently that's harder.
Because organic chemistry, sorry for the aside, folks, but we have a guest here. We're talking about organic chemistry. It's basically the chemistry of things that are alive, which have hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon. Wait, is hydrogen, nitrogen? Carbon, right? That's it. So everything related to these 3. That's what orgo is, right?
It's a lot of carbon-based. Mostly carbon.
But carbon is not is it an element in the table by itself? Okay. So carbon, then hydrogen, then nitrogen, and oxygen. Anything with these core 4, these are the core 4 of all living, every living being has all 4?
To an extent, yeah.
Or does every living being have one of the 4?
Carbon is a central element in this whole thing.
Carbon's the main thing.
Yeah.
So now when you go to inorganic chemistry, that's like plastics and things that don't have any of these 4.
No, plastics is still based on carbon, but inorganic is more like metals and computers and things like that. Like where you have the middle of the periodic table. That's
The middle.
the miscellaneous stuff.
And what metal, isn't everything that exists have carbon?
A large part of it, yeah.
Oh, so metal does it have carbon or not? No, it doesn't have carbon.
Not really, no.
Yeah.
Metal is a different element entirely.
Metal is their own elements, yeah, like metal and gold and all those, and iron, those are all elements, right? So answer me this question. I never got an answer to this. Why is gold Ag in the element?
AU? Because
AU.
Orium, the Latin, Orium.
So why didn't that word translate to us? Because that's like,
It did, and it, like, you know the word aura? Like that comes from gold, something that's fascinating like that.
is this, are your mic on? Because he's dropping like
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
chemical gems right here. Open this up. I told you guys, this guy's a Nobel Prize winner, right? All right, so Orium, that's a much nicer word than gold,
Yeah.
right? Interesting.
linguistic thing.
And silver, what's the Latin for silver?
Silver is Ag, I believe.
Ag.
Yeah.
And who invented the organic, Russians, right?
Organic chemistry.
No, the periodic table, who invented it? The Russians, right?
There was a guy from Russia, I forget, his name started with an M. Mendeleev, I think. or
So-
something like that, right?
Dmitry Mendeleev in the
Mendeleev.
1960s.
Mendeleev. Why did he, so he's the reason for all of our problems, basically, in school at least. But tell me, why did he use Latin? What made him use Latin? Is like the European language or what?
Well, just like we have Fusha for everything, right? Like
Yeah.
If you're gonna learn Deen, you need to know your Arabic.
Yeah,
because that's,
Fusha.
like the standard. So for Latin, that was like because it's just a time period.
Latin was the
Latin
international
was like the,
language of science.
yeah.
during
It was the international language of science. So silver is Fe,
No, silver is Ag. Ag.
which is?
I
Gotta
forget
look
the
that up.
exact-
Gotta look that up. They found new
Argentum.
argentum.
Yeah,
Okay,
that means
and
shining or white.
iron is Fe.
Iron is Fe.
So here's the thing. That's what if Latin is the language of science, then why don't we learn Orium and Argentum and whatever Fe is? Why did they use English words for that? Because that did not help memorizing at all.
Well, from what I've heard in the upper echelons of science, they kind of do refer to things by their Latin names, but like the common person could care less, right?
Yeah.
We just say gold because it's easy.
You say gold.
Right?
So when I'm memorizing this thing, it makes so much more sense to learn the Latin words. Okay? Latin words. Give me the Latin words. And then I could just, Orium, easy. At least give me that list. Gold equals Orium. Silver equals Argentum, whatever it's called. Iron equals, what is iron? Fe. Yeah. Right? So that's what tripped me up that's what trips up everybody, memorizing the periodic table.
It says that after World War I, a lot of historical shifts led to English becoming the main international.
Yeah, so then change the stupid abbreviations, right?
Yeah.
Change it so we're going to change the word, but not the abbreviation. How does that make any sense? So the Americans have messed up a lot of things. Feet. Why do we have this stupid system? And based on arbitrary numbers, like 12s and 4s and 48s and 8 cups and liters, and it makes no sense. Whereas the European system, it makes so much sense. All by tens, right? Everything's by 10. So all I need to know is the prefix, and I know how much it is. But our system of yards, firstly, yards and feet, the word has no basis. The length has no basis. It's like 1 to 3, right? Why not just use the European system, which is totally rational, right? Every word actually has a meaning to it. Whereas a yard, a mile, 5,228 feet, something like that. I think the founders of America, this is just like Urdu, right? The founders of America, they just said, you know what? To spite the British, we're going to use our own system. And then the Sykes-Picot of U.S. measurements really just had a bad day. They had a day that made no sense, right? They said to themselves, well, what's a cup? Let's make this a cup. What's a mile? What are we going to use instead of a kilometer? A kilometer. How about from my house to your house, right? All right, fine. How many steps is that? Let's walk it. 5,200, random number. All right, what is a yard? I don't know. A yard, throw something. That's a yard, 3 feet. Total randomness. Just like the Sykes-Picot of Urdu, when they made up the family names, right? The Chachu and the Chichi and the Pupu and the Fufu, right? So that, it's literally, they probably, you know what Sykes-Picot is, right? The European, the French, and the British guy who made the map of the Arab world after the Ottoman Empire were two guys, Sykes and Picot. And they had a third guy who gets no credit. Sykes and Picot, that's what Sykes-Picot is. They literally said, okay, Libya, we'll make a line right here. Sudan, let's make a line right here. Syria, let's put a line here. They literally are the ones who did it. So the Sykes-Picot of the American metric system, the American measuring system, was total arbitrary. I wish I was there at the meeting because they literally were making just stuff up to go against the British. And then probably you got in Urdu, when they came up with the nicknames of the family members, I'm like, okay, well, all right, because Urdu is a manufactured language. It's made up of Arab. Yeah, it's made up of Arabic, Turkish for the military who are coming from all these places. Arabic, Turkish, and Hindi. Arabic, Persian, and Hindi. So then I think by the end of the day, it's been a long day. They made up a lot of words, came up with a lot of words. Then, khalas, I want to go home. Okay, well, we still have to do family members, right? Well, what are we going to call the uncle? So I think maybe he was like called Chowdhury or something. And I said, when I was young, I couldn't say Chowdhury. I just say Chachu, right? Okay. All right, let's go with Chachu. Let's give everyone a kick. Everyone will have a laugh at that, right? And then, okay, might as well, what did you call your aunt when I was young? Oh, Fufu, right? Or Papi or whatever. So all that's, and then, oh, what about older sister? Oh, my older sister, she used to make some really good onion bhajis. Let's just call her a bhaji. I just call her bhaji, right? I'm telling you, the Sykes-Picot of Urdu got tired by the end of the day, and they were just winging it. Okay. Certain things in society, it's funny, that make no sense and that trickle down and become the norms, like the American feet and miles and yards and all that stuff. Yeah, stuff that makes no sense.
But apparently there is a reasoning for miles.
All right, let's hear the actual truthful reasoning.
So, the modern mile of 5,280 feet was determined in 16th century England.
Get this guy's mic on. Okay, go.
The modern mile of 5,280 feet was determined in 16th century England when Parliament standardized it to 8 furlongs, or 660 feet each, to reconcile existing land measurement systems.
British made up this stuff? What Parliament?
It was determined when Parliament standardized it to 8 furlongs, which is basically the length of a furrow in a field that a team of oxen could plow. So they had a furlong, and they want to make an even multiple.
So the British made this stuff up?
English Parliament, yeah.
Oh, okay. So why are we getting blamed for it? Right? And the Americans always take the blame for the mile. No, before you came, I said my theory was that the Sykes-Picot of American measurement systems were literally winging stuff and say, what are we going to, we're not going to use a kilometer because we want to be different from the British. So let's just make a mile from my house to your house, right? Or a yard, throw something. Read more. Any more?
I mean, that's basically it.
Okay, so this we're always getting blamed for the stupidity of miles, inches, and yards and stuff, that words that have no connection to it, whereas centimeter, kilometer, millimeter, I can already tell you just from the word what it is, right? I don't have to study what it is. And it's not random numbers. Like a yard is what, 3 miles, 3 feet? A yard is 3 feet. A mile is 5,220 some feet.
I think a yard is also 1 meter.
No, nothing adds up.
I think it's like approximately.
Like an inch is 2.54 centimeters. Nothing adds up. It's not even close.
It doesn't even
Someone's trying to mess with us. I'm telling.
It's all whims.
It's all whims. And the ruler, whoever makes the rulers, nothing makes sense. Okay, if you want to, let's be different. Type, make the inch 3 centimeters, right? Like, why 2.54? And then you have brains. When you realize nothing adds up with the rest of the world, adjust it. You just literally took over the government. You can't take over a measuring system. Why are we stuck with that? You kicked the government out of England, right? You literally changed the map. No more UK here, no more England, USA. But you can't change the measuring system. Keep going. I said, you got some more?
No, I mean, that's basically it.
I think you should at least add up its own system. Like 1 mile to be 1,000 feet.
That's what I'm saying.
The yard is 0.914 meters.
How stupid is that?
So close.
A yard is 1.94 meters. Forget when we get to cups and volumes and that stuff. But the poor kids when you throw a revolution and you kick out the biggest country in the world, why don't you finish the job, change the measuring system, change the spelling of everything? When you have a language, English, which is a composite basically from Germanic and Latin. That's the reason why all of our spelling is different. So foot and boot, same spelling, but they don't rhyme. This is your chance. Hey, you guys did it and invented Urdu, right? You're not Pakistani? It's all the same. I just literally caused a revolution. I just kicked a wasp's nest. He said he's Indian. Okay, but this was a chance. Clean slate on the whole operation. New measuring system that makes sense. You can be independent from the metric system, no problem. New measuring system that makes sense. New spelling system that makes sense. But no, these weird things, they trickle down. What else is a weird thing that trickled down? In America, it's the measuring system, it's the spelling. Who knows? All right. Let's get back to our subject. This very holy subject of the Qur'an, where Allah Ta'ala tells us here, وَجَعَلْنَا ذُرِّيَّتَهُ هُمُ الْبَاقِينَ. We made his lineage, the sons of Noah. Eventually, all the surviving people from the ship, from the ark. they ended up being subsumed in the families of Noah's sons. And I assume possibly grandsons too. Eventually they all became that. Such that by the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and even well before that, everyone could say that they descend back to Noah. Okay? And we know for sure that Noah had two sons, 100%, which are the son that rejected belief. Scary thing. A son raised by a prophet for hundreds of years, yet the iman did not enter his heart. Nobody should be ever blamed if a child, they have iman or not, they behave well or not, they should not be blamed. What the blame should be on the effort of the murabbi, the effort of the parent. So recently I had this discussion in Awaidim, basically, where you cannot control another adult's behavior. When your kid becomes an adult, you can't control his behavior. But what you can control is your responsibility right now to do your job. That's all Allah looks at for you. That's what Allah looks upon. And one of the things that I fight against, I don't believe it's true, is that it's out of your that is when a parent dumps the responsibility on a diagnosis. I can't do anything, he's this. Now, I do believe that there's some examples, like there are certain sicknesses, but I think a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's just someone, it's a culture. It's a whole culture. It's a whole culture. You've come across this stuff, right? It's a whole culture of overdiagnosing, and it's a culture of letting someone get away with murder, and being lazy, being timid, being scared, being weak, and not changing something, and then finding an excuse. And I bet you that behavior transfers. That when a person makes excuses, that's a character trait. They make excuses about everything. Then when they're poor, they have excuses. When they're in debt, they have excuses. They never take responsibility on themselves. That's really the issue here. That's really the issue. It's taking responsibility for yourself. Even if there's an X factor that you really can't control, but just put up a fight. In everything you do, put up a fight. In everything a person does, you got to work hard. And hard work doesn't always pay off directly from the thing you're working hard at. It pays off elsewhere. And it pays off in two different ways, I'll tell you, guaranteed. Either it's going to pay off now or later as a transferable skill that you learned, or it pays off now. That's number one. You will get a worldly payoff. If you work hard, no matter what job you do, you're going to get a worldly payoff somewhere. But B, hard work is the best antidepressant. One of the jobs I got when I was young, I wanted to see what it's like to be poor. Yeah. I always thought like we lived in a certain way, and there were certain sectors of society that was just like unknown to us. Unfathomable. Gas station attendants, right? Janitors. It's like cooks and cleaners in restaurants. Unfathomable. When you're growing up, your world is a little world, then you have limits. You can't fathom it. You don't know anyone in those fields. So at some point, a lot of Arabs started to come, and a lot of these Arabs were blue collar and business owners. And one Arab, a Jordanian, he bought a gas station. And so we started to go there because we get our gas from there, get our car fixed from there, became friends with him because he's a friend of ours. He's from the masjid. This is the first time. So when all my friends in high school were getting these internships with their other friends, I wanted to intern in poverty. That was my internship. I wanted to feel what is it like to be in that level of society. When a guy fills your gas, you never give him a second thought, right? But he's still a human being. There's a reason he's there. So I wanted to experiment with that. So I suggested, let me go help, what's his name, with the gas station. I didn't even care about making money. I just wanted to see what is it like. So I made the commitment, and there are 3 shifts in the gas station. There's the 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., 11 p.m. back to 7 a.m., divided into 8. And each shift has to sort of clear the books. You have to clear the books, start over from zero. And each shift has a certain number of times they pump the gas and money that they make. And every day, the owner, he comes in the morning, and then he leaves, and then he checks up again at each of the shift breaks. So he'll check the 3 a.m. shift and then the 11 p.m. shift, right? And sometimes if he trusts the manager, he won't even do the 11 p.m. Someone else will do that. In any event, so I signed up. And for us, this was like, if you sign up for something, you're signing up for something. So I signed up to work the summer at the gas station, right? And my friends were dying. They could not believe I'm working at the gas station, right? They said, what are you going to put for college? I said, automotive fuel technician. I interned at Mobil, right, as an automotive fuel technician. So they were just laughing at me. And they found it hilarious that I did this. And it was pretty funny in the beginning until the boredom set in. This was the most boring job after the first few times. And then there's rush hour. It gets really busy and hectic. You can't make mistakes. Back in the day, you had to think. If the gas is like $18.50 or $18.39 and it stopped, then the guy gives you a 20, you have to dig in your pockets for the change. It wasn't like today, everything's card, tap, 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 tap. People paid cash. Most of the time it was cash. So you had to do the math in your head all day. Then there was a store, okay? And I was like, oh, cool, we got all the snacks in the store and stuff. But within like a week, you just want to die. What are you going to do? Are you going to die? Or are you going to make something up? So you know what I started doing? I started saying, like, what can we make better in this gas station? So there are downtimes. The 3 to 11 shift has one peak. It peaks only once, between 4 and 6 p.m. It's dead after that, pretty much. One car every 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, right? And then from 7 to 11, hardly anything, really. So I was like, all right, what am I going to do? So I started having these contests in my head. All right, next car that comes, I'm going to wipe the windshields so well. Like, I'm going to remove every single thing on a windshield and see how fast I can do it, too. So I started getting the squeegee, fill it, soap. Car comes in, give it the full thing. Side windows, back windows, everything. And because what else are you going to do, right? Then there were Snapple bottles. Back in the day, before Arizona, there was Snapple. The Snapple they're not done in any logical way, right? So rearrange all that. Then in the daytime shift, 7 to 3, there's nothing after the morning rush. Pretty much nothing to do. Let's mow the lawn. Let's pluck the weeds, right? And that was my antidepressant. Then the store, there's dust under the shelves. It's not organized in any sensible way, right? Go start reorganizing. Dust it out. Dust things out, okay? Move stuff around. Otherwise, you get depressed. You just sit in there dying, and you do stupid things, so work hard. So the first lesson of hard work is it's an antidepressant. I feel that there are a lot of people who are idiots in life. They only look at the immediate payoff. Now, when you work hard, it rolls. You start working hard at everything. Anything you're given, you work hard at. And if you feel good about it, it doesn't have to be an immediate payoff. It could be a payoff later on. Way later on, it could be a payoff. Okay? And you never know what you might kick open. When you work hard, you may end up, someone's watching you, right? And they elevate you. That's the famous story of Merlin and the Sword of the Stone. What's the boy's name again? The sword. You don't know about the Sword and the Stone? You don't know about the Sword and the Stone? Did you go to school here or in India?
Partly India, partly Saudi, partly here.
That explains it. See? That's like a standard in American curriculum, is the Sword and the Stone by King Arthur. So basically the story goes like this. I just totally railed on the poor guy, right? Poor guy didn't do anything wrong. He just went to school in Saudi and India. But your English is really good, though.
Yeah, I came here when I was like 10.
Oh, okay, it's nothing. So the Sword and the Stone is that England doesn't have a king. And there's a wizard. His name is Merlin. And the wizard is assigned, I guess, it's very much like David and Goliath. They literally like copy pasted from David and Goliath. So at the time, in David and Goliath, there's a prophet. The prophets, the Hebrews don't have a king. So Allah reveals to the prophet that the person, the man whose height is equivalent to your staff is the king. And he will lead the fight against Goliath. He will unify the tribes and lead the fight. So that turns out to be Saul, and then Talut. Then eventually goes out to David. David kills Goliath. And David's just a young boy, thin child, 14, not even child, youth, 14 years old. And he kills Goliath in a shock. Nobody ever expects it. So the Camelot version shrinks that out and makes that England needs a king. Merlin is the wizard, and Merlin is the one who will decide who's going to be the king, in that whoever takes the sword out of the stone, there's a sword inside of a stone, stuck. Nobody can get it out except the true king. The true king pulls it out. And of course, Arthur, he's this little scrawny kid, and he doesn't know it, but he's going to be the one to do it. But Merlin, before he becomes king, he wants to train him. He wants to train him in the qualities of a king. And he doesn't train him in like how to sit, how to stand, no, he trains him in the core characteristics of a successful king. And it's a really cool story, this part of it at least. I don't remember the rest of it. But he looks at him, and I guess, I don't know, Merlin chooses him or something. He said, this boy, he's sort of an orphan, I guess, and he's working as a cleaner for a small-time landowner. But Merlin says, this boy, whatever he does, he puts his all into it. This is going to be the king. This boy, if you tell him to clean these dishes, he's going to clean the best dishes you're ever going to see, right? If you tell him to herd a sheep, he's going to herd the sheep better than anyone else herded sheep. Like, he puts his all into it. He's the one who deserves to be king. So he takes this little boy and he starts teaching him lessons. And first lesson is he makes him a fish to learn survival. So he makes him a fish in the pond. And Merlin makes himself a fish, and they go around. And then he realizes, oh, it's neat to be a fish, right? Until a bigger fish comes by. What are you going to do now? And he learns to hide and run away from the fish and hide amongst other fish. Then he comes out of the water and becomes a boy again. Then Merlin makes him into a squirrel. And as a squirrel, he gets to climb up and see the whole world. Like, there's this quality of the squirrel, can climb all the way up. Then a female squirrel falls in love with him, right? I guess it's his way of learning temptation or something. But he has to avoid this female squirrel. And, like dogs are chasing the squirrel, so he learns to survive as a squirrel. So he's learning adaptation too. Adapt. You got to change. You can't swim as a squirrel, and you can't run if you're a fish. Then he makes him a bird. So he's teaching him the ways of the sea, the ways of the land, and the ways of the sky. So if you're a bird, you can't run, right? If you're a squirrel, you can't fly. So he's learning all these little things by being animals. And then eventually comes the big day where everyone is going to try to pull the sword out of the stone. So all these knuckleheads are like lifting weights and trying to think that it's going to be by strength. They don't realize it's by something else completely. And of course the boy, and I think they took this from another religious legend, which is the legend of Khidr, also known as the King of Salem, where there is a fountain of youth that God created on the earth. If you drink from it, you live forever. This is like a legend, essentially. You'll live until the end of days. And that the legend goes that a king was out there looking for it, traveling the whole world looking for this to drink it. But a small-time soldier, one day in the middle of the day, just got thirsty and found the spring, and he drank from it. So he became so-called Khidr, or King of Salem, and lives forever and travels the earth helping people, essentially. So this idea of the accidental, the little guy nobody thinks of accidentally. So that's what transferred into the story of King Arthur, or something similar. You can't prove that they actually copied it, but same idea. He's walking one day and he says, "Oh, that's a nice sword," and he needed a sword for some reason, so he just plucked it out, and then he became king, without any intention to be king. Like Prophet David, when he went, no intention. He doesn't even know he's a prophet yet. No intention, just going to check on his brothers. Then sees David and Goliath, ends up killing Goliath. Boom. In a very short period of time, finds himself king. Or finds himself to be like the hero. In any event, that's the story behind the sword and the stone. And how it's character that is the most important thing. And people who put their all into something, then the problem becomes that you actually can't 50-50 something anymore. And that becomes a problem, because if you need to rearrange something in the fridge or on a shelf or something like that, cutting corners becomes a bad habit. I can't do it. I got to empty out the whole fridge and redo the whole thing. And all the cabinets in the fridge got to be washed. And it's almost like sometimes I just don't want to see a problem, because then you're going to end up doing the whole thing, right? And I remember one time spilled some coffee on in the fridge at like 11. And that kicked in, right? Can't just clean it and go to sleep. That's a bad habit. It's a terrible habit to cut corners. Well, we got to got to get into all the grooves. Once we get in the groove of one shelf, got to get the next shelf, next shelf. And then, boom, it's 1 a.m., right? But the fridge is clean at least. Anyway, this is a far better habit, and sometimes it could be a bad habit, but time-consuming habit. That's how you have to live. And when I work with people, I just look at very quickly, does this person cut corners? You just walk past a rapper, right? You are a bum. That's literally what goes on in my head. We're way off topic. Okay.
Sorry for bumming you.
Yeah. No. Alif is a solid worker. Alif is solid. Omar Abbas, he works hard. But people can't. They don't last with me if they're not hard worker. Ryan G was one of the scrappiest guys you ever see. With a brain, mashallah. Like he understands what's happening here. You don't have to say, okay, you have a contract. This is the list of duties. No, he gets what's going on here. We're trying to build out a stream. Then downstairs, we're trying to put out a soup kitchen. Gets it and works hard. Those are the types of people you keep around. So we're saying that we know for sure that he had a son, the older son or we don't know the age actually. Great upbringing, take on responsibility, but you can't control it. We were talking about accountability and laziness. When something is in your charge, you can't throw the accountability on something else. You either won, you succeeded, or you failed. Right? And the success and failure is not always about the outcome. It's about, did you take responsibility? And did you put in your all? Did you ask people for advice? Did you learn? Did you study? Did you try different techniques? Did you adapt? So we cannot say the Prophet Nuh failed his son. No, he's got his own willpower. What I believe is failure is not taking accountability and passing the buck on and living like that. So we also know that Shem ibn Nuh existed. By biblical and Talmudic accounts, there is accounts of Japheth and Ham, which are under Shem. Japheth was good, but not the prophetic lineage. And he went up to populate the northern territories of the earth. And Ham, he was also did not have the prophetic lineage. And they say bad things about Ham. They say he was essentially not so great, but a believer. and rowed the boat with his dad. But they say a story which we don't believe in. We do not believe in this story, and we will not accept it. We don't accept it because it does have implications that are very negative. And the story goes that on the ship, on the ark, one day everything had settled, so they were able to open up the latch, climb the ladder, and go sit at the top of the ark to get some fresh air. And that Prophet Noah fell asleep. And the wind came and blew his thobe up to the point that his awrah became apparent. And that immediately Shem turned his eyes and covered his father. Japheth turned his face, and Ham laughed. Immediately Noah woke up, saw that Shem covered him, Japheth turned away, and Ham laughed. So he said, as for you, the prophetic lineage is you. Like you just showed, right? In this moment, you're the leader. The prophetic lineage will run in you. Then he turned to Ham, and he said, and you will have a great nation, but no prophethood. Japheth. Then he turned to Ham, and he said, we're going to make your kids come out dark-skinned and nappy-haired, and will become the slaves of these two. We are not accepting this hadith, this saying, this Talmudic story. That's not even found in the Bible. It's found in other books of Jews. Other books. And we're not even accepting your Bible as is. Forget this story. That's not even in the... Look up, Fuzz, where the story of Ham's slavery. It's not, because it's not in the Bible. It's in one of their other books. So we're not accepting that. And that's literally, this story is why Southerners could be such religious people and enslave blacks. They believed it was God's will. They believed it was God's will. And then they had no fiqh of slavery. They had no fiqh of how to enslave somebody and how to treat a slave. So they just did whatever they wanted. So we're not accepting that. But what we can accept is that it's possible and likely, when you live for 950 years, chances are you're going to have more than 4 boys, more than 2 boys. So it's likely and that he had more boys than that. People think that Prophet Ibrahim only had Ismail and Ishaq. No, he had more. Prophet Ibrahim had more sons than Ismail and Ishaq. The Canaanites are from him, and other nations eventually descended from the Hyksos of Egypt, who conquered Egypt, and Prophet Yusuf lived amongst them, were Abrahamic people who had a concept of monotheism. Curse of Ham. What? Wait, it is in the Bible?
In the book of Genesis.
Oh, it is in the Bible. I didn't know that. Click it. Move the window over a little because the camera cords are in the way. No, not that far. Yeah, there. That's good. Okay, the curse. I didn't know it was in the Bible. Oh, gosh. So look at this. The book of Genesis, the curse of Ham is described as a curse which was imposed on Ham's son Canaan by the patriarch Noah. So it's not even Ham, it's Canaan. Canaan. It occurs in the context, oh, okay, I thought the Canaanites they came later, but anyway. It occurs in the context of Noah's drunkenness. A prophet who gets drunk. When you are drunk, you can utter anything, including kufr, right? Would Allah allow this? And it is provoked by a shameful act that was perpetrated by Noah's son Ham, who ended up seeing the nakedness of his father. The exact nature of Ham's transgression and the reason Noah cursed Canaan when Ham had sinned have been debated for over 2,000 years. Wait a second. So isn't it in the book of Genesis?
The curse of Genesis is not about the curse on Ham.
Ah, okay.
The curse on Canaan.
Okay, so there are 2 different curses. A lot of people getting cursed here, right? So the book of Genesis, curse of Ham, seems to be a different story. The story's original purpose may have been to justify the biblical subjection of the Canaanites to the Israelites, or a land claim to a portion of the new kingdom of Egypt, which was ruled by Canaan in the late Bronze Age. In later centuries, the narrative was interpreted by some Jews, Christians, and Muslims as an explanation for black skin, as well as a justification for enslavement of black people. What do you mean Muslims? Go to the footnote there. Whoa, this is totally against our religion. We do not. Footnote, Goldberg, 2003. Don't blame it on us, Goldberg. Right? Goldenberg, 2003, page 170. Lying again. Okay? Click on Goldenberg up there, footnote 7. Go to footnote 7. This guy's telling lies. What did Ham do to Noah? Okay, go back real quick to that. I want to read that full. What did Ham do to Noah? Stemberger. Okay, the words of the wise. Okay, no, I'm not buying this. Go to the next tab. The biblical story of Noah's drunkenness remains problematic. Problematic? Call it what? I hate these academic terms, right? It's a complete farce. Go and find me one Muslim footnote. Go into the footnotes. Do you see? He has footnotes, not endnotes. There. Yeah, each page has its own footnote. They got zero. Gottlieb, Kugel, Patterson, Len.
Oh, just one thing that mentions Arabic once, and then it would be already.
Oh, and that's just a dictionary.
This is from Hans.
The Hanswort Dictionary. For a discussion, we'll go back real quick.
Yeah.
For a discussion, click on that. Highlight that. The Ugarlic poem of AQHT, Arabic Edward Lane, an Arabic English lexicon. What is he talking? There's no Muslim source at all. Well, even if he does quote one, it's not true. It's wrong. Just because somebody quoted something he doesn't say what the judgment is on it. You may quote something and then judge it to be a farce. Okay, go back to the Wikipedia curse of Ham before we read yours. All right, you go ahead.
In medieval Europe, commentators misread Genesis 9, and they thought the curse actually fell on Ham, and that's basically where they said Ham's sin caused the descendants, which were the Africans, to become black and enslaved. So it was just the medieval Europeans. Over time, like, it started changing a bit, but then the medieval Europeans are like who made it like about race and stuff.
So because of Ham's son, Canaan, at some point is alleged to have been cursed in the book of Genesis. Could you get the verse? Not that it matters, but I want to see what the verse is. كل تأليف وتلحين. What's the verse?
He saw the nakedness of his father and told his brothers. Shem and Japheth covered Noah respectfully. When Noah awoke, he said, "Cursed be Canaan, servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren."
Okay. Cursed is Canaan for seeing and laughing at his father's nakedness, as a grandfather or father's nakedness. No, grandson, right? Or a grandfather. And then Shem and Japheth covered their dad or looked away, so you shall be a servant to your brothers. No mention of blackness at all here. And no mention of lineage being slaves. Serving is different. Being a servant is different, right? All sorts of nonsense being spoken. You guys have no concept of a train of transmission. No concept. Let's just make stuff up and run with it. Okay.
So the Genesis Rabbah 36:7, it described Ham as darkened, but there was nothing regarding like race or your children are going to be slaves. Or
Darkened.
Darkened. Ham is darkened, linked to sin or heat.
Ham is darkened. Could be spiritual darkness. Okay.
Linked to sin or heat.
Linked to sin or heat. Since when does I guess tanned? Everyone would get tanned then, right? If you're in the sun, everyone gets tanned.
And they describe Japheth as enlarged and Shem as fair.
Japheth as big, so what? Scandinavian tall, and then Alaikum Salam, who's here? And then who as tall? Cometh. Tafaddalu. Salam, who's here? What kind of guests do we have here? From New York City, cometh and sitteth. Yeah, Fazl, come and sit here by the mic side, and you two come sit here. Okay, come take. Let's see. Whoa, mashallah. Allahu Akbar. Let's sit up and take a look at this. Bismillah. Mashallah. Look at all this.
So we saw you in Abu Huraira in Queens a few weeks ago.
Oh, yes. MashaAllah, this is gorgeous.
Sorry for the sudden appearance.
No problem at all. Anyone could pop in.
And we have some food for you guys.
Oh, MashaAllah. We don't have a rule on people coming until some crazy person shows up. Then we'll make a rule. Oh, thank you very much. So this
So this is
poster
just a
here.
Picture presentation of the Athar of the Nabi. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Amazing.
Our masjid is called Ahl Bayt in Queens.
Masjid al-Bayt, Allahu Akbar.
Habib Umar came when we first founded it.
I came. I was there.
Oh, you were there?
I was there.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
I was very young, so I don't remember everything.
Stick that there. Yeah, I was there when Habib Omar went to Masjid al-Bayt in Queens. Yeah, I was there. MashaAllah, amazing. Both of you, take a seat. Bismillah. And Asad, open up the food and pass out the food. We're supposedly, sister, come sit right next to you. We're supposedly reading about Prophet Nuh. We have taken like 30 tangents on topics that are, what's taken about 30 tangents here. Okay. Let's see. I didn't bring my iPad, but I'm using my phone to see what people are saying here. Ang 25, curse of Ham is more accurately curse of Canaan. Yeah. Yeah, see, so the saying that it's slavery and your kids will come out black, that comes from another book. So I was right about that part of it. But I didn't. So the curse of Ham is mentioned in general. Then the specifics are mentioned in some side book in the Jewish history, right? And that's what they used to justify. It became, mustafid, but not mustafid, a complete lie that got spread to everybody. Something that can't be authoritative in any way, shape, and form. We continue. Now back to Surah Nuh, verse number 21. قال نوح الرب إنهم عصوني. They didn't answer my da'wah. When did he say this? After hundreds of years. واتبعوا من لم يزده ماله وولده إلا خسارة. And they follow what will not bring to your wealth and your children anything but loss. This is an extremely important verse because everything that contradicts divine guidance will not only harm you in the afterlife, or harm you in this life too. It will result in your wealth decreasing. Sins result in wealth decreasing. If you think about sins, physical sins, they the bodily sins, there are sins of the heart and sins of the outside. But we're just talking about the outside. If you think about these sins, they literally result in detriment. Now, somebody may say, well, I see a lot of sinners who have a lot of money. They have a lot of kids. So the thing is that Allah Ta'ala does not only treat people and give them wealth based on themselves. A person may be given much wealth despite much sin because it's the rizq of his children or the rizq of his other family members in his household. But the question now becomes, does he enjoy the wealth? Because one of the things that a sign of failure, a sign of lack of blessing, or being cursed, is you have a lot of stuff but it doesn't make you happy. That's the sign of a curse. And the sign of being blessed by Allah, you have very little and it makes you happy. And so therefore happiness for us, it's not tied solely to the material. It's tied to whether or not Allah blesses your heart in such a manner that you can be living in the most miserable country, in extreme poverty, but your heart is very close to Allah Ta'ala. Allah will make sure and guarantee that you live a good life. الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. Okay. Those who believe, let's look that up exactly. Those who believe and do good deeds, we will give him a good life. Let's get exactly. Hey, Edif, get ready to put this ayah up. Okay. Go to ayah 1697. This is extremely important. So Sayyidina Nuh here is describing, and Allah's quoting, most importantly. Allah's quote, 1697. Allah's quoting that sins and the wrong life, the not good life, it ruins your wealth. It ruins your popularity too amongst the people. Because whenever Allah speaks about children, al-walad, it also refers to friends. Al-mal wal-banun, wealth and children. Children here, it also includes having a lot of friends. Edif, is it on? Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة ولنجزينهم أجرهم بأحسن ما كانوا يعملون فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Okay, let's look at this right here. Whoever does good deeds, من عمل صالحا, whoever does good, male or female, وهو مؤمن. So it includes all men and all females. Yeah, give me the glazed one, I guess. Whoever does good, from male or female, while believing properly, وهو مؤمن. Because if a person rejects something God commanded him to believe in, see right here, then none of his good deeds count. What's the proof of that in the Qur'an? Allah says, وَمَن يَكْفُرْ بِالْإِيمَانِ فَقَدْ حَبِطَ عَمَلُهُ. Whoever rejects faith, all his deeds are rejected. What is faith here? All things that Allah has obligated upon us. If Allah obligated you to believe in angels, then you refuse, all your good deeds are invalidated. Whatever, the verse is very clear. It doesn't mean whoever just rejects Allah and His Prophet. No, why would you only choose these two articles of faith? All things that Allah commanded us to believe in. Just because there are a few articles of faith, the pillars of faith, doesn't mean that that's all you have to believe in. We know that there are 5 pillars of Iman and 6 in the Hadith. When you add the 6 in the Hadith, there's predestination. But the Qur'an clearly says belief in Allah and His angels and His books and prophets and last day of judgment, afterlife. And then the Hadith adds al-Qadr, predestination. Does that mean there's only 6 things to believe in? No, you have to, certain things you have to believe about prophets too. Under prophets are many beliefs, such as that they don't disobey Allah. That angels, they can't transform into demons. Okay? You have to also believe in other things too, like jinn. It's in the Qur'an. You have to believe in many other things that are mentioned in the Qur'an you have to believe in. Okay? Articles about Allah Himself. Can I say, I believe in Allah, but I believe in Him the way I want to? No, you have to believe in Allah as He described Himself. So there's a lot of things to believe, and there are no tricks here. They're all explicitly mentioned between Qur'an and Hadith, and you can go get any manual of Aqidah, and it's going to be this big that lists less than this. You know, Tahawi, if you wrote it out, Tahawi is less than this, right? 116 lines or something like 130 lines or whatever. Every publisher breaks it down his own way, right? The whole Tahawi creed, which things are obligatory for Muslims to believe in. And by the way, he doesn't separate them out. He doesn't separate the things that you have to believe to be a Muslim, the things you have to believe to be accurate. No, he doesn't break out those things. So it's just a list of obligatory beliefs. God doesn't play tricks on us and have little hidden things that you have to believe that you wouldn't know about. As Sheikh Nuh always says, nobody goes to hell on a trick question. So he says here, وَهُوَ مُؤْمِن. You have to believe properly. You have to. And what do we say as Ahl Sunnah? The default of a Muslim, we don't investigate him and say, oh, did you believe the whole list? Did you believe the whole list? No. The default of a person is he's fine, right? He's innocent until he proves that he rejects intentionally with knowledge. For example, Isra and Mi'raj. Is that not also an obligatory belief? You have to believe in it. But in what way? You can't believe it's a dream. You have to believe if it was a dream, why would Quraysh laugh at it? You can have more greater dreams than that, right? If the Prophet dreamt, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he went to Quds, why would he have to come back? No one dreams going and coming back. Like when you have a dream that you went somewhere, you just dream that you're there. Nobody dreams that I went and came back, right? So in any event, it's for sure absolute that the Prophet went with his body. Definitely modern people shouldn't be surprised by that. We all travel. We go to Chicago and come back in one day, and that may be further, right? I can go to Dallas and come back, and that's probably further in one day. In one evening, I had a private jet. I could do that too. Anyone with a private jet, boom, go out there, come back same day. So modern people definitely shouldn't have an issue with that. So the thing is, man amila salihan, whoever does good deeds, male or female, while he believes properly, he believes all the articles that Allah made us believe. فَلَنُحْيِيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبَةً. For sure, guaranteed. Allah emphasizes, number one, immediacy. Immediately, you're going to be happy. When you do a good deed, Sayyidina Ali says, immediately Allah rewards you by putting sakina in your heart. Okay? Immediacy. La tawkid. La nuhyiyannahu. Second tawkid at the end, nun at-tawkid. So there's immediacy in the fa. Then the lam is emphasis, prefix emphasis. Then nun at the end, suffix of emphasis. So Allah has making it very clear. Believe what you have to believe as a Muslim. Do good deeds. Then Allah will make you happy. Guaranteed. We will make you live hayatan tayyibah, a good life. وَلَنَجْزِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْرَهُمْ بِأَحْسَنِ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Then, for some people say, SubhanAllah, I'm living such a good life. Maybe this is my reward, and I'm going to be punished in the next life. No, Allah then mentions, and then we will give him his reward in the next life, based on the best of his deeds. Look, how generous is that? So not only am I going to be rewarded twice, I'm rewarded here, and I'm rewarded after death, but I'm going to be rewarded based on my best performance, not the average. When a person goes to get paid, you look at the body of work. I don't just pay you on your best week, right? If a person's contract is up, all right, we signing this person? Yeah, let's re-sign this guy. Okay, like, what is he worth? Well, let's take a look. Between January and December, how did he work? He worked really good in March, then he slacked off a little bit, so we're not going to give him the biggest cut. No, Allah says you'll be rewarded in paradise based on your best day. Imagine that. There is a period of time in everyone's life where they were extremely close to Allah. And usually that happens during some hardships. Literally, I was not looking at dunya. I was just solely focused on dua. And I didn't even commit sins. I even forgot to commit sins. Some people, their life gets intense like that. Allah will judge you and He will reward you on Yawm al-Qiyamah based on your best days, not your average. So how generous is that? SubhanAllah. So this ayah right here, now Allah also, always read the verses after it because they're oftentimes a tafsir, an explanation for the verse. Scroll to the next ayah, alif. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فإذا قرأت القرآن. Now, if you recite Qur'an. So Allah just mentioned something general, right? Do good deeds. Now He mentioned something specific. So is reciting Qur'an the best of deeds? Or what about other things like serving people, helping the poor? The Qur'an is the best of deeds because it leads to all other deeds. That's why Allah specified. He said a general statement, whoever does good deeds. Now we specified Qur'an. Okay. Why? Because the Qur'an, reading Qur'an with understanding is the best of deeds because that's what's going to open the door to what other deeds there are. Okay. That's what's going to open the door. So that's why Allah mentioned the Qur'an. But, all right, He's going to tell us more. You want to read Qur'an? You have an enemy. Shaytan is your enemy. Shaytan will whisper to you so much not to read Qur'an. So you want to go down this path of having a great life? Ponder Allah's book. Read it. It'll cleanse you. Listen to it. But also ponder it and understand it. And really, whenever Qur'an is mentioned, theology and law are subsumed under that because theology and law are the extracted, most important extractions. Just like we want to go in a land with water, right? I want to go to a land. You don't want to go to a dry country. You want to live in a country with water, right? But you don't actually go into the lakes and go into the woods and go into the wonderful land. You go to the supermarket. the good stuff from the farmland, from the lakes, from the oceans, and from the forests that they have, the good stuff is in the supermarket. So yeah, we're going to a land full of lush and greenery, but you don't go to the trees and the lakes. You go supermarkets. Same thing. The supermarket of the meanings, the most important meanings of the Qur'an are found in the books of theology and the books of law. So the best way to actually understand the meanings of Qur'an accurately, it's not just the books of Tafsir. Go into the expanded books of theology and law and see how they are explaining those verses. Okay? And that's how you'll learn the Qur'an. But those books are voluminous, big books, and you need Arabic. So now that we're reading the Qur'an, now Allah's going to help us more. You got an enemy. Shaytan is your enemy. فَاسْتَعِدْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. That verse does not just mean when I open the Qur'an to read, I should say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. That's meaning number one. There are other meanings. When you direct your mind and your life to the deen in general, be ready, you just kicked off a war. You literally just kicked off a war. And you're going to need help. So Allah says it very simply, seek Allah's help. Why do I seek Allah's help? How do you fight an enemy you can't see? How do you fight an enemy who has an advantage of thousands of years? Thousands of years. Iblis. Now, Iblis doesn't come to each one of us. He has minions. Okay? Iblis sits on a throne that he imitates Allah, and he put his throne on water. Right? Allah says in the Qur'an, كَانَ عَرْشُهُ عَلَى الْمَاءِ. The throne of Allah is on water. Okay? The throne is a creation. It's not a place of sitting for God. We don't believe in a God who sits, who has a body and sits, of course. But Iblis, he imitated God. Okay, I'll put my throne on water. But Iblis' throne where he sits. And he rules. And he has we can't imagine how many devils he has working for him. So, but he's training them. How long has their teacher, the devils that we have and mess with us all day and all night, their teacher, how old is he? If he had a small brain, but he lived 100,000 years, he's going to cremate you, right? No matter how smart you are, a guy who's been around the block for thousands of years, like Iblis, he'll totally destroy you. If this was a chess match and you are the smartest chess player on earth, but another player has been playing chess for 1,000 years, you're going to get cremated. So it's not a fight that you can win by yourself. An enemy you can't see, and enemies that have been around the block for 1,000 years more than you're not going to win. You need Allah's help. So the first thing that Allah helps you with, after saying, oh my gosh, I can't see him, he's been around the block so long, Allah helps you. First of all, he says in the next ayah, scroll up at it real quick. Allah helps you. The first thing he tells you, your enemy's weak. إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ لَهُ سُلْطَانٌ. He has no power. عَلَى الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. He has no power. So he tells you he tells you to do good deeds. He specifies the best of deeds. He tells you what's the obstacle. And so that you don't get demoralized by your enemy. Oh my gosh, I got this enemy. He's 1,000 years old. Tens of thousands of years. He has so much more knowledge than us. I can't see him. He's got hundreds of minions. Do you have hundreds of friends? No. And their friends aren't there to support you. Iblis is sending dozens upon dozens upon dozens of minions upon a newly religious person. I don't have any of that. So before you get intimidated and demoralized and depressed about it, Allah tells you, don't worry about him. As long as you have me, don't worry about him. That's what Allah is saying here. As long as you're relying upon me, and what does relying upon Allah means? Following, trusting him when he says, keep wudu, go to the masajid, always remember me. Allah is telling us. Be around righteous people. Study knowledge. As long as you believe in Allah to the degree that you're taking every single rope that he gave you, you have no worry about Iblis. It is no power over you. And yet, why do we find very pious people fall into dramas and calamities, and clearly Shaytan got to them? Because they didn't take all of God's ropes. There is knowledge. You have to learn. And then you say, okay, well, why did knowledgeable people fall into problems too? Why did Iblis trick them? Because there are other ropes they didn't take. The rope of humility. the rope of avoiding fame, the rope of being with the jama'ah. So he may have the rope of avoiding the powerful. Don't go to the powerful people, the princes and the kings and the presidents and stuff, and the houses of politics. Don't go there. They're going to mess with your head. So there are a lot of ropes. You got to take as much as you can and have a balanced religion. Next one. إنما سلطانه على الذين يتولونه والذين هم به مشركون. His authority is only over those who take him as a patron and who are under his influence, and they associate others with Allah. Right? So you follow devilish ways, he will have power over you. That's simple. That's how simple it is. You follow devilish ways to the degree. Someone may follow devilish ways 1%. What is that? He doesn't make wudu. He just for prayer only. Outside of prayer, he never makes wudu. All right, that's like a 1% misdeed. It's not even a sin, but it is something Shaytan loves. Because if you don't have wudu, I can attack you. You have wudu, there's a barrier. Why is wudu a barrier from devils? It doesn't make any sense, right? Nothing actually in the physical world of cause and effect actually makes sense. It just is. I've asked people all the time, explain to me what exactly is happening the moment I send a picture message to you. Even better, a video message to you. Tell me what's going on when I airdrop a video to you. Just think it's mind-boggling, right? Why is that the case? Why is it the case? We were just talking about organic chemistry. Like, why is it the case that this material does this? Oh, they're going to say because the protons and the electrons. Well, why did the protons and electrons behave that way? Okay. What are they even made of? What is a proton made of? You're pretty smart. Did we discuss this before, Edif?
We did not, but they're made of subatomic particles.
So we just created a new word. They just the electrons are made of subatomic particles. What are subatomic particles made out of? The tajribi world is just because. That's the true answer to it. It's not a mathematical equation where I could say 2 plus x equals 5, x equals 3 for a reason, a rational reason. The world of cause and effect is just because it is. And the spiritual world is just because it is. You're going to tell me that just memorizing 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf is going to protect me from the world's greatest calamity that's ever going to happen? Yes. Just like I can, if I was to put a little bit of glue into the charger of your phone, just a little bit, all the power, how much power is in a phone, right? How much can a phone do? You could run a whole business from a phone, right? But one little bit of glue right here, your phone's dead. You're never going to be able to charge your phone again, okay? A whole car starts with a little key. That's it, okay? The whole human being, you want to kill a human being? It's pretty easy. Tape his mouth shut, fill his nose with glue, he's done. That's it. A guy could be as big as Arnold Schwarzenegger, the strongest guy in the world, okay? While he's in a deep sleep, you can kill the guy, right? By gluing his 3 body parts. That's it. Glue it, he's done. He'd be dead. Even less than that. Certain things, he breathes it in, he passes out. While he's passed out, turn the gas on. That's it. He's going to inhale so much gas, he's going to die. That's how simple it is, right? So huge things, very simple little keys. So to the degree that we follow devilish ways, the devil has access to us. That's how simple it is. So that choosing his way doesn't mean I hereby swear an oath to Satan. No, it never starts like that. Little by little by little by little by little. Okay. So that is a quick summary, basically, on the good life. Back to, and that's basically all a tafsir of Allah saying that they rejected his message. Asawni, they disbelieved in me. They disobeyed me. And they followed what ruins their wealth and their family. And then essentially, everything is built on wealth and family. If you have a big family, you will have a lot of friends. If you're rich, you will have a lot of other rich friends, which leads to many other opportunities. All worldly opportunities, they really stem from your family and your wealth. If you have a huge family but no wealth, you have a great blessing. If you have a lot of wealth but no family, you have a great blessing. If you have both, you have the great, all the doors will open up through that. Think about how many doors open up from having to go take your kids to school, to soccer, to hifz, to Qur'an. So many doors open up, even for you personally speaking. Going about kid stuff is also a way to become happy, to be happy. When you have kids, they make you busy from thinking about your own self, right? They make you busy. It feels good to take care of them. It's going to lead you to a lot of opportunities. They're going to go someplace and you're going to follow along and have to take them there. Okay? One of your kids goes and marries someone from another state. All of a sudden I'm there, right? Who knows what kind of other doors are going to open up there. My friend, kid made a friend in school. Who was that? So-and-so's son. Oh, that guy's influential guy. I may end up becoming friends with that guy through my kids. And that's the top benefiting from the bottom. Imagine now the benefit of the kid from his dad. Way more benefit. In any event, what these verses of Surah An-Nahl are telling us is that although that's what the wealth and children are the worldly benefits, doesn't necessarily mean you'll be happy. You have a lot of people who have all the worldly benefits but are not happy. Happiness is different. Happiness comes from having right belief and right action, as we just mentioned. All right, time for Q&A. Ang25 says, I came to ask about false gods and jinn in Islam. Allah tells us very clearly that all false gods are actually jinn. And we'll pull up for you where he says that. Okay. Allah tells us in Surah Saba, بل كانوا يعبدون الجن أكثرهم بهم مؤمنون. Okay. They used to worship jinn. And what's the history behind paganism? This is, I would say, speculative in nature, but it does make a lot of sense. Jinn like to bother people. And when jinn can overcome a people, overpower a people, and scare the people, they can then influence those people to worship it for their safety. And Allah knows best, but some people have said that's how paganism develops. So you get a bunch of people, they're living minding their own business. All of a sudden, a jinn comes, scares the lights out of them, does all sorts of bad things to them. And then somehow manages to communicate to them that if you do certain behaviors, certain things that I want, I'll leave you alone. And what does he want? Like wicked things. Like, I want you to kill a child and throw her in the sea. He wants that. Right? I want you to produce these scents and drugs that they like to sniff or whatever. Who knows what. And I want you to do human sacrifices. Right? Eat all sorts of wicked, devilish things that demon likes. He enjoys that. We also know that Iblis's plan is to misguide people. So the origin of paganism is likely to be that. It's likely to be that. And Allah knows best. And that could just be one of the origins of pagan. Let's see what Al-Baghawi says. Arada al-Shayateen, Allah mentions that they were worshipping devils. زينوا لهم عبادة الملائكة فهم كانوا يطيعون الشيطان في عبادة الملائكة. So sometimes it's not just by scaring them into a certain behaviors and idolatry, but just by whispering them to worship idols. In this case, worshiping angels too. Okay. And that's all he really brings here. So again, I'm saying it to be clear to everybody, we are speculating on that. We know for sure the idols are, amongst the idols are jinn. Not every idol has to be a jinn. For example, Surah Nuh tells us that the 5 great men of the past, Waddan wa Suwa'an wa Yaghuth wa Ya'uq wa Nasr, that these 5 men were good men. Then they made them into gods. The Tafsir tells us that. Then they made them into gods. The devils whispered into their ears to do that. So not all idols originated as demons, but demons were involved in whispering to them to do this. And in India, you could say possibly that they are most likely, these are devils, these are demons. We have mentioned that there are blue jinn, because jinn are made of fire, right? Part of fire is blue. You go into any Hindu place, you see a lot of paintings of blue demons, blue guys running around, guys in blue. Like right here at this wedding hall that they purchased. What's it called again? This wedding hall. Can't remember what it's called, but it's on Route 1. I don't know why any Muslim ever rents it out. You go into the room that we pray in, they have a bar, and behind the bar is a mural of India with these blue spirits with turbans running around. There you go. Fuzz. Look, a blue demon. So we have, for example, this is nothing to do in Egypt. With Egypt, this is India. In Egypt, they always say, for a kid who's causing mischief, you're like a blue jinn, right? So the jinn that's blue, here we go. They have this thing with blue guys, right? You got to tell, you can't tell me these aren't. I believe these are jinns.
So interesting enough, I took a religions class last semester, right?
Yeah.
And it taught about Hinduism, right?
Yeah.
So the original form of Hinduism is actually just to worship one god.
One god.
That has like they don't know what it looks like. They eventually took that, added in like Shiva and then some elephant and this and that.
I think Brahman
Yeah, Brahman. I think
came from Ibrahim. Yeah. And then just like Arabs, see, we always look down on Hindus. Arabs were on the same track, right? We got one God, we're descendants from Abraham. 500 years later, you got like 300 gods. And you got these disgusting habits, right? Of burying your daughters and other disgusting habits, right? India, that's the result of shirk. Those people are victims, right? I mean, they're now waging a war against us, a lot of them, but it's the same track. One got the guidance Allah chose, and then they gave guidance, but they didn't accept it. So they got the even worse habits. Now imagine hundreds upon thousands of years of paganism and Iblis literally just making a laugh at it, mocking you. Let's get them to see if they could get najas everywhere, urinate everywhere, defecate everywhere. And now literally your brand, global brand, is defecation. That's like how people make fun of you. Which means that there's no smoke without fire. That's the reputation. It's from their own sources that the cow dung is a source of power. It's wealth. There are 33 gods, she says in BBC. There are 33 gods in the anus of a cow. What? Serious? You're an adult. Lady, you're an adult. You're probably good at IT, right? We're looking it up now. Here we go.
Wait, they don't have auditors for that show? Like,
dude, it's a BBC.
we can highlight a different angle of their culture.
Dude. So, here we go. The cow has 33 gods in it. And the god of wealth is in the buttocks. It's in the anus. Okay? I can't read Hindi. But there it is. I'm looking at it right now. Here we go. The cow has 33 gods in it. That's what it says. These are the major gods that we worship. Oh, he's proud of it. The 33 numbers refer to the devatas that administer the functioning of the universe. Okay, so the universe is functioned from within cows. Come on, you're writing on Facebook, right? This is a Facebook post. Like literally, you have a brain. Okay. In the scriptures, it posits that the microcosm, the human body, is a reflection of the macrocosm. The 33 devathas thus also represent 33 gene function characteristics in human beings. Every devatha has a name associated and a mantra for it. The Vedas refer to not millions of deities, but 33 supreme deities. 33 divinities are mentioned in the blah, 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 blah. Hindu word, Indian word, Indian word. The number 33 occurs with reference to divinities. Listen, don't try to sound clever and mystical. Okay, you guys go for the dung of the cow. That khulasat al-amr, okay? You want to dress up all the rest of the stuff into mysticism and Indian mantra words? That doesn't change the facts and the reality, okay? Give me. He's got the whole list. All right, here we go. The stomach controls space. The back controls the sky. The neck controls the Rudra. The tongue controls all speech. The mouth controls fire. The ears control the wind. The god of the nose, the god that's in the nose, he heals twins. Okay. The god that is in the eyes, he controls the sun and the moon. The god who's in the horns, he is the god of creation and destruction. Okay. The god who's in the udder is for prosperity. What did you type in here? Okay. All right. Which Hindu god, okay, is in the butt of the cow? Just in case we have some kids watching. Let's get to the khulasat al-amr. All right. Okay. All right. Every part of the cow corresponds with some secret. Okay. The rear, the Yama. Okay. God of dharma, justice, and restraint, representing the end of life or karmic judgment. Here we go. The god that is in the anus or rear opening is Apanavayu, one of the 5 vital airs responsible for the cleansing. Wait, that should be the I guess cleansing out. Okay, Yama symbolizes death, renewal, life cycles, purity. Okay. Excretion. The Apana Vayu, the downward moving life energy, governs digestion, excretion, and grounding, vital for health and balance. It's one of the 5 vital energies. Thus, the rear of the cow is associated with transformation, cleansing, and renewal. Okay? Come on, folks. Come on. And so that's how Shaytan is fooling people. And he's fooling them, number one. Make it a laughing stock out of yourselves. And then go open for the BBC. Go BBC documentary. Owen Benjamin is the one who shared this about 2 years ago and waged war on India, basically. And they really gave him a big headache. BBC, India eating cow dung. And not only that, they filmed the guy.
They also drink the urine.
Forget drink the urine, bros. Brushed his teeth with cow dung straight. The other woman put it in a chapati. Okay, and fried it to eat it. This subject came about that Shaytan tricks us. He's trying to destroy us. He's trying to humiliate humanity. He literally takes joy. You think it's so silly. Yeah, Shaytan is silly. He takes joy in your foolishness. This is literally how the devil takes joy in. He takes joy in this foolishness. He finds it a hilarious thing. That look at what God created, Adam, the wonderful creation of Allah. Look what he's doing now. Look what I made him do. He's making a fool out of himself. He's covering himself from top to bottom with dung. Who laughs at this except for Satan? Right? Why would a human ever do this? Left alone with no devils to whisper to him, he'll never do this. Okay? Never once would think to do this. But you go and they have holidays in which they're all covered in cow dung. Like throwing mud. It's dung. It's all over the internet. It's not hard to find. throwing dung at each other. When you do this with cow dung, you get used to human dung too. Just all dung becomes a commonplace to you, such that someone go to the bathroom in the middle of the road, in the middle of the public space, is not an abnormality. And you could look that up. There are laws now that the secular Indian government is trying to say, oh my gosh, we got Westerners coming. We got people coming to our country to do IT and to open call centers and to do other things. We can't possibly have people smelling like this. So literally the secular Indian government, they're fighting this. But it's a habit amongst the people to just defecate wherever they want to defecate. You didn't hear about this?
This is not that common, I don't think. Maybe in the villages.
Bro, it's common enough that I heard of it. India, public defecation problem. Look at Fuzzle defending. Don't defend your people, bro. These aren't your people. Your people are the Muslims. Huh? Yeah. Okay.
I don't really care about the Indians.
Yeah. No, look, the public defecation problem in India stems from a number of factors. Okay. So public defecation is a problem. Okay. And it has to do with worldly things that all countries can suffer. Anyone could have suffered this, such as lack of infrastructure, lack of education, that this is bad for you. But also, when your whole society is very, very cultural norms, deep-rooted social beliefs, linked to the caste system. Okay? In any event. SubhanAllah. Do jinn have supernatural powers? It's supernatural to us. That's their natural power to them. Okay. If many scholars studied the same mas'ala, says Quraysh, and got the same result, that is known as ijma'. But if other scholars studied about the same mas'ala and differed, well, then it's not ijma'. Okay. Why is Jesus called a spirit in the Qur'an? The spirit refers to his having his own unique way of living. There is a unique law to him. We're not saying law as in biblical law or Sharia. We're saying physically, this person, Adam alayhi salam, this prophet, he has a different ability than others. He can say to a thing, for example, he can cure by the name of Allah. He can resurrect the dead in the name of Allah. He can be born without a father, obviously. He was born. So the ruh, he is the only human called a ruh because literally he has his own law of living. He is taken up to the heavens for thousands of years, then he will come back again. That's why. The ruh is the way that this creature lives. So Allah blew into Adam a ruh. Isa alayhi salam has his own unique ruh. So he has a soul like ours, but it has different properties to it. Can anybody else go up, live thousands of years in the heavens and come back down? No. Can anybody else, has anyone else been born without a father? No. Does anyone else heal the sick just by saying Bismillah? No. How about did not Sayyidina Isa bin Maryam fashion a bird, then blew in it and it lived? It flew away. So Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam has his own way of, his own divine law upon him. We're not talking about laws of halal and haram. Halal and haram, he follows everyone, what he was given, and follows Moses' law. Okay, and the law that he was given, and when he comes back, he follows the law of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's not what law we're talking about. We're talking about how he actually is. And Allah knows best. Okay. Amatullah Kareem, she's saying, do not curse other gods so that they will curse Allah. Yeah, but there are no Hindis here, and they don't watch that live stream anyway. So this is like we're in the living room here. Okay. Additionally, read the books about the virtues of The Blacks by Imam al-Suyuti and Ibn al-Jawzi, and see the reasons they gave for writing on the subject, says Levon Brown. Muslims of the past also believed and applied the understandings of the curse of Ham, which is why As-Suyuti refuted that. So Levon Brown points to something very good. As-Suyuti writes a book on the virtues of blacks. Why? Because they're being mistreated or false beliefs about them. And those false beliefs can be found in Ibn Khaldun and Ibn Battuta when they talk about al-Zinj. Okay, so As-Suyuti, why is he one of the greatest scholars? Allah elevates his works and his name because he says the truth. When there are fork in the road, he gets things right, As-Suyuti. Okay. Why is Prophet Isa called the word of Allah? Because unlike everyone, males and females, or everyone else who's born from a male and female, he's born from a female and then the divine commandment to exist in the womb. So that's the word, the divine command. Not that he is a word of God, that's impossible. That's hulul. Hulul is to say that a finite being is within the infinite God, or that an attribute of the infinite God is in a finite being. It's called hulul, both ways. Hulul literally just means something inside of something else. The finite created being will never be inside the pre-eternal creator. First thing, the pre-eternal creator does not have an inside or outside in the first place. That you can imagine something being inside of something else entails that it's a material being. Secondly, the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his attributes will never enter neither his that nor his attributes. His essence nor his attributes will never enter into the creation, as the Christians believe. It will never happen. Can you take infinity and put it in a finite set? Let's say I give you a set from negative 100 trillion to positive 100 trillion, right? You still can't fit infinity inside of there.
Technically, between the number 1 and 2, there's infinite amount of decimals between.
But that's not fitting infinity in there, right? You're still not infitting. Firstly, infinity is such a concept, you cannot do plus 1 to infinity, right? So infinity is not a number composed of 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. It's not a composed of an addition of things upon things. Anytime that you have anything where you can add to it or subtract from it, it's not infinity. So therefore, this world, this is one of the arguments of why the world could have not existed forever. Why the world is not infinite. The universe is not an infinite thing. Why? Because we always add and subtract to it. Can you add and subtract from infinity? No. The point you're making, Fazl, is correct, but a little bit different from this concept. There are endless cutting in half, of course, of numbers. There's no doubt about that. And at some point, it becomes purely theoretical. So, Levon, you make a great point here. Why would Ibn al-Jawzi, why would As-Suyuti, in their introduction, they tell us why they wrote the book on the virtues of the black race. Quraysh says, sir, I am from India. Well, I mean, you didn't say Sar. Okay. So that's good. Yes, you're from India. No problem. Fazl's from India too. We're not hating on Indians. It's hating on shirk. It's not Indians.
I saw a new thing. It's
What?
a new AI
Yeah.
that takes away your accent.
No way.
For like Zoom and stuff. It takes
No
away your
way. Until you meet the guy in person and you're like, who did we hire here? I'm telling you, the reputation worldwide is changing. There is a positive side because my mom, she's got the TV on all the time. She's bedridden. She's got the TV on all the time. And sometimes she's like not even paying attention and it's going to different videos. More and more high level tech presentations are now being given by people in accents. That's going to change a lot of reputation, believe it or not. In the positive, because I'm like, well, what's this Indian accent? Then you look, it's like high level tech discussions, and presentations of products. It's one of the positives that they got there. What is it called? Triple IT? The college. Yeah. It's one of the...
IIT.
yeah. It's even better than MIT, and some people are saying.
Significantly lower. It's like 0.5 something.
Yeah, because you have 1 billion people in the country, right? Right?
But the facilities are like Rutgers has better physical facilities than something like that.
Oh, okay.
The prestige is way like through the roof.
Is the prestige of IIT relative to India or relative to the world? Because then who cares then? Yeah, but that's like not that's not hard to do though, right?
To get into IIT.
No, relative to India, to be prestigious relative to India. I mean, I'm not making fun of India. Relative to Egypt, it wouldn't be hard. The number one college in Egypt probably is not even top 100 here in America, right?
Yeah.
But
Our rankings are also biased, so all those like news rankings are all biased to the U.S. obviously.
of course, to IIT or MIT, which graduate are you taking? MIT, of course, right? Okay. But nonetheless, IIT is probably the best marketing thing for India right now because it's a powerful tech institution. So this is a free rein on India today. Okay. Listen, they deserve it. Half the anti-Semitic stuff, half the anti-Islamic stuff is coming out of India. Half the pro-Israel stuff coming out of India.
Along the same tactics as
What? They're in love with Israel. Israel hates them back. Like Israel does not, Jews don't want anything to do with Indians. But the Hindus are running after the Zionists. Zionists, which Netanyahu lying through his teeth saying that we are genetically the same people who've been living here for 3,500 years, literally lying through his teeth now. Dude, do you know how desperate he is? They're buying all the media. Netanyahu's on a new podcast every day, and now he's just uttering utter lies. In the last interview he did with Ben Shapiro, he said 6 million Jews were practically burnt alive. The story keeps getting crazier and crazier every time he says it, right? Now they were burnt alive? 6 million? We're not even going to discuss the number, but... And then we are the original residents of this land. Let me ask you a question. So the Cherokee Indians, the Lenape Indians, now can take over my house? The Lenape in New Jersey could take over all of our homes because they at some point lived here. Not only that, we know that the whites illegally drove them out. The only actually legitimate piece of land is probably Manhattan. They bought it. They bought the island. The Dutch bought the island and called it New York. But most of the rest of the country, we all know that Americans, white or Europeans, just drove them off the land. So the Seminoles then should come around and then go and claim the prime real estate in Miami because that's the tribe that was there, right? They're in Florida. The Sioux should basically take most of the middle of America. The Iroquois should go take back their land, if that's the logic of things, right? Ahmed, كيف حالك? الوسيلة والفضيلة is here. Please bring on Mufti Yasir Wajdi from Chicago. He and his team are working against atheism. Alifun, put that down in the notes, please. For Omar to look up and find Yasir. First, we have to look somebody up. That's not an insult to the person, but if we don't know him, you may think he's a good guest. We don't know him, but we have to look him up. But yes, Wajdi. He's got a Desi title and an Arab last name. We got to find out what's going on here. Okay. He and his team are working against atheism. Wonderful. And showing Hindus who criticize Islam their own books, and they are baffled by this. I'll do it. MashaAllah. That's how you do kalam and refutation and all that. And invite people to Islam too. Can young kids see angels? Allah knows best. Some people say like infants can see angels, but it's a sort of a loop because you'll never know. You'll never be able to ask them. And they forget about it. So you'll just never know. And they say, oh, I see the baby looking around. Well, he's got nothing better to do, right? What else is he doing? But then again, if you ask a baby to sort of look at you, he never looks at you either. So why would you think he's looking at an angel when we know that he can't even keep focus with you? So Allah knows best. But if people want to believe that, there's nothing haram about believing that. People like to believe fanciful things, right? There's no problem with that. What is Islamic view on intuition? Intuition has a natural created into everybody, and it also has a mukashaf element, a kashfi element from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ilham. Or we could say the angels whispering truth to you. So there's both of them are for us. We believe in both. But ultimately, intuition can never be. It's not a source of knowledge. It's one of those sources of. It is a source of knowledge, but it never reaches to absolute or even actionable knowledge. Intuition can be acted upon when choosing halal things that have a justification elsewhere. Right, so I just had and it's not necessarily always good to live by intuition. You have to back it up with fact, absolute certain knowledge, so that otherwise you go crazy. Let's say I have an intuition that I need honey to make me feel healthy. Okay, go and see if it's studied. See what the professionals say about it. You can follow your intuition, but it has to lead you to fact and evidence, or else you can harm yourself. My intuition is not to engage in this business with this guy. Fine. Now use that to spur research and investigation and intelligent action, which is like delay the contract, think a little bit, right? And that's all fine and good if a person can do that, but you have to use your intuition your intuition must be supported by some kind of actual fact, verifiable fact. And happens all the time. In the middle of a contract, just don't get a good feeling about a buyer. I don't want to sell to this guy. Okay? But I can't go on that. I can't go canceling a contract for that reason. Gotta find a reason. Right? Or create a reason and get out of the contract. Because buying and selling is just by choice. Are you taking a Hajj group? No, we're taking a Umrah group for November. Go to Buraq. Why don't you load that up for us?
You gotta put up the orphans one again.
The orphans. Yeah, and I'm waiting for him to put the monthly. So after Umrah, with the orphans, see how we're doing on orphans. Yeah. Can we wear leather socks in the winter to avoid washing our feet in wudu? Of course. That's the khuf. That's literally the point of the khuf. That's literally the purpose of khuf. And some khufs are so good that they have fuzz on the inside to keep your foot warm. Turks make the best khuf because they have a type of leather that is very thin and you can literally wear it in shoes. You can wear the khuf inside of shoes. So you can get these on Etsy. Etsy has the best khufs. Amazon khufs are no good. How do we respond to Christians who compare Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam when they compare him to the word of Allah? We just mentioned that. The word here means the divine commandment, be, and it is. So even when Allah creates humans through males and females, it's still his command. But this is more specifically his command because there is the absence of a male. So the creation of Allah Ta'ala through means the creation of all of us through a mom and a dad. The creation of Isa bin Maryam with no dad for Allah is the same. It's be and it is. But when he creates something unique, not like there aren't other creations like that, creates it unique and without a means, it emphasizes the power of his creation or his creative power. It emphasizes it. There is no veil there. The veil for us, we say, yeah, God created you, but your mom and dad were the means. The means sometimes they become a veil between God's creative power. So it's important in Aqidah. When Allah creates a person who has mom and dads all the way back to Adam, and when Allah created Adam from no mom and dad, and when Allah created Hawa, Eve, from a dad only, a male only, when Allah created Jesus from a mother only, for Allah it's the same. Be and it is. Be through means or be without means. So, but it's to emphasize and specify that this is created uniquely through the power of Allah alone, not Allah's power that He willed through other beings, okay, which could veil you from God's power. That's it. What it is. Are they trying to say? Are the Christians trying to say that it's God's attribute inside of a person? No, that reading is rejected on the spot. It's called hulul. Sean Siddiqui says, why does the stream run during business hours? Well, that's relative because in England it's not business hours, right? Yeah, the reason is that to do streams every evening, number one, that would be middle of the night for England, and B, there's other things to be done in the community. So we have an online presence. Safina Society, ultimately, we do 5 things, essentially, Safina Society. We do the live stream. We do ArcView for the classes online. It's a virtual academy that's getting better and better and better, and it focuses on Aqidah and Fiqh, amongst other subjects like Tajweed and Arabic. We do the soup kitchen. We're in the soup kitchen right now. We're in the 3rd floor. On the 1st floor is the soup kitchen. It's getting renovated, and we're going to have to pay for that renovation to make it a commercial grade kitchen that we're legally allowed to cook in. Guess who's going to pay for the renovation? All you viewers. And then number 4, we do Dar al-Fath 4 times a week. We have our seminary. We're starting a seminary, worldwide, world-renowned, inshallah. Dar al-Fath seminary, named by Habib Omar himself. He named it Dar al-Fath. Okay, there will be many futuhats come from there. And we run it right now inside of NBIC. Different little oases. Hanafi's teaching in one area, Maliki's teaching in another, Arabic taught in another, Aqidah taught in another area. And then the 5th one we do is Hifz Academy, to memorize the Qur'an. And that's also inside of NBIC, has its own space in the masjid. One more question before we wrap up. Oh, but there's the Umrah. You can see the Umrah here, information. And Edifun, why don't you load up where we stand with the orphans, just to round off the number. That's how we raise funds on the stream.
NBF 500 tomorrow.
Oh, NBF 500 tomorrow. And I tried to get the original crew, but they're working. They couldn't. They couldn't get off. Mu'in and Alex, they couldn't get off. But NBF 500 is tomorrow. Keep going, scrolling down, Edif, and hit until you see the donate button. And let's see where we're at. And then we stop here. We pray salah and we'll be wrapped up. One of the wisdoms why Sayyidina Isa bin Maryam did not have a father is to remind the Bani Israel of Allah's power. Because they had lost that, they had become very materialistic. And they had lost the belief in divine power. All right. And there are a lot of things that are just removed from the Jewish books. Like any mention of the afterlife is wholly removed from the Torah. You know that? The 5 books of Moses, the Torah, that's the Torah. 5 chapters. Okay? And those books, those chapters, those books have no mention in them in current day on the afterlife.
Wait, so what do Jews believe when they die?
No. It's like a permissible belief. It's not an obligatory belief. Maimonides listed belief in heaven and hell as an obligatory belief, but Maimonides, if you actually read the Aqidah of Maimonides, I think it's got 13 points or so. Brothers reading Ash'ari books. The way he describes God, perfect tanzih. The man was living around the Ash'aris, you can tell, right? But he included the obligation to believe in heaven and hell. That was controversial. And I remember having some Orthodox Jewish students at Yale. So we're talking about this. They said, yeah, Maimonides, he's an anomaly. And he took it from the Arabs. But it's not an obligatory belief. And ultimately the belief is that Jews would be purified for a small amount of time. And they even have like a number of days. And after that purification, they live eternally in heaven. And the Gentiles essentially just like disappear into nothing. That's why the Gentiles can be used in this life. What is the people's issue with Jews? It had nothing to do with your ethnicity. which they always try to play. Heritage Jews, no problem. Dave Smith, Professor Sachs, these Norman Finkelstein. These are heritage lineage Jews or alleged lineage Jews. Okay. We have no issue with them. Torah Jews, who are not see, the evil of Jews today is in the form of Zionism. There are plenty of non-Zionist Jews, right? And there are Zionist Jews that have their own limits. Yeah, we want a country, but we don't want to oppress people. They're a big minority. We have no issue with these people. We have an issue with a group of people who believe that we can be used and abused for the sake of your goals and ends. What person would accept that, right? I mean, kicked out of 102 countries. Why? For this reason. Not because of who you are, for this reason. Then because you behaved like this, you gave yourselves a bad reputation, right? And then finally, you have your own country. After, 3,000 years? You haven't lasted a century and you're the most hated country on earth. It's because of this. Use and abuse others for your own benefit. That's how simple it is. Allah tells us in the Qur'an in a few words. The whole summary of why you end up hated and kicked out is one sentence. Allah says, they said, لَيْسَ عَلَيْنَا فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ سَبِيلٌ. 4 words. We don't have to be fair to them. Allah summarizes it in 4 words. لَيْسَ عَلَيْنَا فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ سَبِيلٌ. If you count fi, then 5. 5 words. That's the aqidah. Once you become liberals and you get rid of this, then we're okay. Or maybe you have a different Jewish interpretation of things and you don't believe that. We're still okay with you, right? We can coexist. I mean, you do your thing, we do our thing. But the moment you say you believe that we exist for your benefit and the Gentile can be used and he should be destroyed and manipulated, and that Esau, which they always say is, or Edom, I think they say Edom is now the whites and Esau is the Muslims or something. I don't know what their crazy idea. Ismail is, of course, the Muslims and Esau is the whites. So that these two people have to be destroyed because they're the ultimate problem for the Jews. So most of things destroying European and American culture are traced back to Jews. And so this idea that liberal Jews, they just want to destroy European culture. There literally is a guy, a rabbi, talking like this. He said, they are Edom. Edom must be weakened. It must be destroyed. Because if they get strength, they'll do Holocaust and pogroms. So he's talking about white culture in this clip. Of course, what they say about Ismail is, we can see what they're doing. It's Ismail. It's that kind of behavior, use and abuse, destroy others. It's not even the fact that you have 2 loyalties. That's not necessarily the issue. You can be Pakistani or Indian or Spanish or what have you, and you can love the United States that you live in, the country that you live in. You do good to it, and I also love my other country. Now, maybe militarily there'll be an issue with that. Right? Legally speaking, you probably have to pick one military over the other. I don't even see the problem to join 2 militaries as long as the 2 countries aren't clashing. Once they're clashing, you got to pick one. Like, for example, Norway and America. Why can't a guy have dual citizenship between Norway and America? They're never having a war, right? And if Norway's in a struggle, go fight with Norway, right? Until the moment that Norway and America comes in, we say, sit down, pick one, right? Or you're going to be treated like the enemy. But when the key is you benefit the country you're living in. You live here, right? You benefit from it, so benefit back. Have a charitable attitude. Be transparent in your dealings. And don't try to control everything. We Muslims should not go down this route. Oh, we need to control this. We control that. That's not the ethos of the Prophet. The Prophet was sharing a message. He was not trying to control your life. He's sharing a message. When he sent ambassadors or he sent governors to places that newly accepted Islam, either that tribe The leader came, the Prophet taught the leader Islam. He didn't teach him a sort of form of governance. The only thing he gave is the zakah, you pay it over here. If we have to wage war, you join us. Right? If you get invaded, you tell us. Common, very simple things. Other than that, did he go and tell him how to rule? Did he? No. Did he control him? Did he control his resources? Did he take his home? No. Did his family get wealthy through them? Did the Sahaba get wealthy through them? No, they didn't. You take Islam as God brought it down and go and live by it. And you are part of an ummah. So zakah, we'll just administer the zakah. And by the way, as long as he's collecting zakah, certain zakah you can administer yourself. But other zakah is given to the government to administer. Anyway, we're over our time. Let's go really quickly. We're at $3,015. There are 10 orphans whose lives we're being part of. And there are 100 total. It takes $480 per year for these orphans to live. Most of the orphans live with an aunt, an uncle, a grandma, a grandpa, or a mom. All of them have no dad. That's why they're orphans. A human being, if he loses dad, he's an orphan. The animal, if he loses his mom, is an orphan. All of them have no dad. But some of them have a mom. And they need help. And the organization, GRT, that we're working with, which I'll be going to England to support them, they've basically broken it down. They're helping with rent, food, clothing, and education. And that total is, for a year, 480 British pounds. A year. So we're at 3,015. By the end of today, whoever's listening, whoever's watching right now, you know how I always do this. Because we're late in the game, right? We're wrapping up. 3,020. That's it. If we can get 5 British pounds, that's nothing, literally. 5 GBPs. If we had started earlier, I would have said, let's get to 100. So 3,100 GBPs. But because we're late in the game, somebody could go in there, put in $5. And this is the method of fundraising that we do in the live stream. This is a way that we get our sins expiated. £5 here, $10 there. That's it. That's how we operate. And we don't really burden. So every day we do a different thing. We either do the soup kitchen or the orphans or the masjid. But we don't want to burden anyone either. So that's how we operate. All right, let's go to the dua of Wednesday. لا إله إلا الله الملك الحق المبين 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 بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن فتحنا لك فتحا مبينا ليغفر لك الله ما تقدم من ذنبك وما تأخر ويتم نعمته عليك ويهديك صراطا مستقيما وينصرك الله نصرا عزيزا وكان عند الله وجيها في الدنيا والآخرة ومن المقربين وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا أنصار الله كما قال عيسى ابن مريم للحواريين من أنصاري إلى الله قال الحواريون نحن أنصار الله الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم أعيذ نفسي بالله تعالى من كل ما يسمع بأذنين ويبصر بعينين ويمشي برجلين ويبطش بيدين ويتكلم بشفتين حصنت نفسي بالله الخالق الأكبر من شر ما أخاف وأحذر من الجن والإنس وما يحضرون عز جاره وجل ثناؤه وتقدست أسماؤه لا إله غيره اللهم نجعلك في نور أعدائي وأعوذ بك من شرورهم وتحيرهم ومكرهم ومكائدهم أطفئ نار من أراد بعداوة من الجن والإنس يا حفظ يا حفيظ يا كافي يا محيط سبحانك يا رب ما أعظم شأنك وسلطانك. اتصلت بالله باسماء الله بآيات الله وملائكة الله وأنبياء الله ورسل الله والصالحين من عباد الله. أحصنت نفسي بلا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. اللهم احرسني بعينك التي لا تنام واكنفني بكنفك الذي لا يرام وارحمنا بقدرتك علينا فلا نهلك وأنت ثقتنا ورجاؤنا يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا دارك الهالكين يا دارك الهالكين يا دارك الهالكين. اكفني شر كل طارق يطرق بليل أو نهار إلا طارقا يطرق بخير إنك على كل شيء قدير. بسم الله أرقي نفسي من كل ما يؤذي ومن كل حاسد الله شفائي. بسم الله رقيت اللهم رب الناس أذو الباس اشفي أنت الشافي وعافي أنت المعافي لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك شفاء لا يغادر السقم ولا ألم يا كافي يا وافي يا حميد يا مجيد. ارفع عني كل تعب شديد واكفني من الحد والحديد والمرض الشديد والجيش العديد واجعل لي نورا من نورك وعز من عزك ونصر من نصرك وبهاء من بهائك وعطاء من عطائك وحراسة من حراستك وتأييد من تأييدك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام والمواهب العظام. أسألك أن تكفيني من شر كل ذي شر إنك أنت الله الخالق الأكبر. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه والحمد لله رب العالمين ظاهرا وباطنا وعلى كل حال يا أرحم الراحمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Kalbe şifa